Hello, and welcome to AFSPA Live, our monthly digital broadcast designed to give AFSPA members and eligible federal employees a place to ask questions and get answers about past AFSPA Talks topics, their benefits, and wellness needs. You can ask your question through the chat box on whichever social media platform you're streaming AFSPA Live, YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn. If you're not able to join us live, call our toll-free line prior to the broadcast at 888-435-0757 and leave our team a voice message that we may play back and answer live on air. Just tell us who you are and the question you'd like us to answer. I'll see you at the next AFSPA Live.
Welcome to AFSPA Live, a live video broadcast Q&A session that we hold every last Thursday of the month at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, unless it's the holidays, which is why we're doing it today, because next week is Christmas. My name is Maddie Norton. I'm a communication coordinator or senior communication coordinator at AFSPA, and I'll be moderating the show today with AFSPA CEO Kyle Longton. If Kyle looks very still, it is because our Wi-Fi at our office right now is not doing great, but you will be able to hear him and all of the information is accurate, so no worries about that. And today we are discussing Foreign Service Benefit Plan FAQs. We've gotten lots of new members and past members that have had questions about the Foreign Service Benefit Plan, so we are here today to answer all of those questions for you. How are you doing today, Kyle?
I'm good. I will say we are prioritizing our bandwidth to serve members who are calling in and emailing. So I'm taking up as little space as I can, but still a lot of bandwidth. So I'm here in our conference room. I'm excited to answer questions. And forgive me if I am I'm trying not to move too much because the picture does get a little stuck. So yes. This is not artificial intelligence answering you. This is live and in person. And reliable.
And
right?
reliable, yes.
It's more reliable maybe than Wi-Fi is all the time, but
right.
We're going to dig into it.
Exactly. So I will start us with a popular question, and I know one I had when I joined the company 3 years ago. So what is the name of the organization and the health plan? And then what do all the acronyms mean?
Yeah. Thank you for including this question. After we reviewed other questions and saw a veritable alphabet soup, I just wanted to make clear to people. So we are the American Foreign Service Protective Association, or AFSPA. We commonly refer to it as AFSPA, as in AFSPA Live or AFSPA Talks. Mm-hmm. And we are the carrier for the Foreign Service Benefit Plan, or FSBP. I see a lot of variations on both of these. We'll answer to a lot of things, but in case you're talking to your benefits officer or your retirement office or something like that at your agency, those are the official names, particularly the Foreign Service Benefit Plan if you're inquiring about that. Otherwise, they're gonna be a little confused and trying to find some help for you. So we're here for you. Just check out the website address or the name of the show, and we've got you from there.
Absolutely. So we got lots of questions submitted from members today, so we're going to dive right into those. And if you're wondering how to submit a question, you can send a question in our chat during the live show, or you can submit a question through our Microsoft form that we post to our socials and send out an email form every month. So definitely be on the lookout for that if you're wanting to have your question answered. So first question. From Nicole, she has asked, why is it so hard to understand what will be covered when I go to a doctor's appointment?
Sure, and I think I'm going to interpret this to mean how much is going to be covered, what responsibility is going to be, because it's going to vary. So, and I understand a lot of people, especially when you're switching from a plan that has a copay, so you know exactly, you go to a primary care, you're going to pay $30, you go to a specialist, you're going to pay $40, whatever it is, and you come to us, and we work on a co-insurance basis. It can be a little tricky to figure out. So what I will say is preventive care, if you go in network, covered at 100%.
Yep.
Maternity care, covered at 100% when you go in network. It's when you go for treatment or diagnosis, I know that the questions arise. So I have a sore I took my wife took my daughter to the doctor on Monday because she seemed a little listless, had to have a flu test and strep test and everything like that. And the question would be, what are you going to pay in that scenario, right? Well, it's a good question. What I will say, and that's hard to say because it's going to vary a little bit depending on how many services are provided and what the negotiated rate is. Now, the plan allowance is not something we publish, and that's typical of all plans. And we won't know what the provider is charging until we receive the claim and until you receive the services. You may think you're just going in for a strep test, but they want to do a strep test and a flu test and an RSV test and send you for a chest x-ray because they think it might be pneumonia, and that adds up. So we won't know until that. So what I will say is when you go for treatment or diagnosis, you are subject to a calendar year deductible. For self-only, it's $300. So that first visit, if you have all that done, it may be $300, in which case you'd pay for all of it. After that, we're going to pay for 90%, you're going to pay for 10%. I know I'm not answering your question. I can't give you an exact dollar amount, but what I can say is you're going to pay the least amount of money when you go in network. You're sure, take a look at a recent explanation of benefits from a doctor that you've been to before in the same region, let's say the Washington, D.C. area. Maybe you're going to plan to continue going to the same doctor. Take a look at that explanation of benefits from your previous insurer, see what their negotiated rate was. Ours is not going to be exactly the same, but it can give you a good sense of something similar will be our rate, and then you would be responsible for 10% of that after you pay the calendar year deductible.
Absolutely. We get that question a lot, and we understand it's kind of nerve-wracking to go to the doctor and not know what to pay, but we promise it's not going to be exorbitant or anything like that when you're comparing it to other plans. All right, next question. Marnie asked, I am a dependent on my spouse's FSBP insurance. If they pass away, am I still covered?
Sure. Sure is not my answer there. I appreciate this question. First of all, I hope that does not happen. I hope you all are together for many years, and this is not a concern. So, and Maddie, I'm only seeing part of the question because the way I'm set up here. Is it clear it's my setup the way I have it? Is it clear if the enrollee is an active employee or a retiree?
This was the only part of the question that was submitted, so I believe.
So there's a couple.
Maybe do both.
Yeah, I'm going to try to do both. I'm going to answer the retiree question first because that's a more common situation we run into. And the answer is if you are covered as a dependent, a spouse on the retiree's health insurance, you may be eligible to continue it if the enrollee, the federal retiree predeceases you, if they have designated you as the spouse survivor, and what the term is survivor annuitant, on their retirement paperwork. And that happens typically at the time that they retire. Depending on their retirement office, they may be able to revisit that. But at the time they retire, they basically say, no survivor annuitant, or I do want to have my spouse have that.
Gotcha.
And if it's the latter, then yes, you can continue. You get transferred then to your own self-only policy, and the premiums for the self-only are as published. And if you're receiving a survivor annuity, so you get a lesser but continue to receive an annuity every month, usually about half of what the enrollee was receiving, then your portion of the premium will continue to come out of that annuity. The government will still pay their portion. If for instance your spouse, who's the enrollee, passes away while they're still actively employed, that's going to depend a little bit on how the agency handles things and what their standards are. So in some cases, if someone dies while they're actively employed, they might be retired upon death. Some people may not be eligible for that. So that I can't answer specifically in terms of how that would work, because it's going to vary a little bit from agency to agency. But that is a concern. You can ask your spouse to reach out to HR to ask what their agency's specific policies are.
Perfect. And we just got a question from the chat, and my next question happens to be about the same thing. So I'm going to read the question that we got submitted, but Tom, I see your question and we're going to answer it. For the state of Kentucky, there is only one current nutritionist available for the whole state. No other choices. This is not an acceptable quantity of providers to choose from. Can someone please look into this?
So Hi to my fellow Kentuckian. Those of you who don't know, Kentucky native. Grew up in Louisville, went to school in Danville. And I agree, this would absolutely not be acceptable if it were true. So here's what I would say. It may be the case that if you search for a nutritionist, you're not going to find anybody, because a nutritionist is not a medical provider designation. And I believe we can share the provider search tool with folks. There we go.
Yep.
But if you go to the provider search tool, put in your zip code, put in your acceptable radius, select, since we're talking about Kentucky, the Aetna Choice POS2 network. And then when you get to the area where there's a search bar, type in dietitian. So registered dietitians, RD, is a medical designation. People have been through a specific training course for this. Sometimes they're called registered dietitian nutritionists. But the registered dietitian, and I did a search today, wasn't sure where you were in Kentucky, so I chose Frankfort, did a 100-mile radius, dozens and dozens of results for registered dietitians. So that's what you want to look for. The other thing is you can also look at the Teladoc Health. Since you're in the US, there's nutritionist services with registered dietitians through their app, through their online service, available at no cost to FSBP members. So that's another way you can access that through virtual care. If you're looking for in-person care or somebody local, then absolutely use that provider search tool and look for registered dietitian or just dietitian. It actually comes up as one of the options as you start typing diet in a drop-down menu. Click on that. It'll show you all your options.
Yep. And just like I said, Tom, from the chat, that's where you can go, and it'll show you who's in network, out of network, for any type of doctors that you're looking for. So definitely check that out.
And go Cards or go Cats, wherever you fall on that. I'm agnostic to a certain extent, but we won't get into that today.
I understand you. Kind of like South Carolina with Clemson and Carolina. So, and I won't be showing my cards either.
My parents went to Murray, so we go Racers in that house. Go ahead. We probably have other questions.
No, right. We did get lots of questions about GLP-1s and our new programs. So I see that Brady from YouTube has asked a question about that. So I'll go ahead and read that one. I saw that there are changes for getting GLP-1s and that we have to participate in a coaching program. Can you please detail what this coaching program is and what types of things will be required?
Absolutely. So first of all, I want to encourage anybody who has questions about this to go listen to our podcast, or I think you said that the question came from YouTube. We have it's available as a video. It was published on November 17th, and we go all into the program. So one thing I want to make clear is that the new program, which you'll see referred to in some places as Encircle RX, and in other places, we're talking specifically about the Advanced Weight Management Program, which is one of the requirements of the Encircle program. Advanced Weight Management is through Teladoc. This is required only for people who are obtaining GLP-1s for weight loss in the United States. So even if overseas, if you're getting the prescription in the US and either having it shipped to you or you're getting it and taking it with you, you are subject to this program. If you are obtaining GLP-1s for weight loss at retail pharmacies overseas, then you are not required to participate in this program. The support's there, but you're not required to participate. So what does this mean? Well, we're adding some additional support programs for members. So number one is you may need to obtain a new prior authorization from your doctor, and they should be contacted about that. It's something they can do in their electronic medical record system. It's simply affirming a number of things that they already went through when they first prescribed the medication for you. It is a slight change in the body mass index standard. So it's prior to starting the therapy, because if some people have asked, I've been taking the drug for a year or two, obviously you've lost weight, you may be out of the obese or even out of the overweight range. That's good. That's the goal of the drugs, right? So, but the question is, prior to starting the therapy, did the patient have a BMI of 32 or higher, or a BMI of 27 or higher with 2 comorbidities? And they've got the questions there that they can answer. And in comorbidities, we're talking about things like high blood pressure, in some cases, sleep apnea,
high cholesterol,
like that, cardiovascular disease, history of a stroke or heart attack, things like that. Okay, and then there's a third question. Again, this is not a new question. Has the patient attempted weight loss through other means in the past? I'm paraphrasing there, but that's a question that's been there. All right, so doctor completes that. Prior to getting your first fill of a GLP-1 for weight loss in 2026, you need to sign up for the program. It will be available for registration on January 1st. It's not available now because we're moving from one program to another. You can sign up for the program through the Teladoc Health app. We'll be providing some links and so forth, but Teladoc Health app is the best way to do it. You have to sign up, be enrolled in the program prior to getting that first fill. After that, once you've got that first fill, for any refills throughout the year, you have to continue every month. You have to weigh in 4 times. So Teladoc's going to send you a smart scale. For those of you who may be getting these drugs and taking them with you overseas, the scale can come with you overseas. It does not have a lithium-ion battery, as best I can tell. It looks like it's AA batteries. But you take that with you overseas. You must weigh in 4 times per month. Doesn't have to be every Monday morning at 8 a.m. It's 4 times per month. And then you must engage with the program 4 times per month. Now, what does that mean? Well, we go into it in the podcast, but just as a quick preview, there's a number of ways to do it. It can be tracking your food, tracking your activity, reading an article, and these articles are usually less than 500 words, something you can read in just a few minutes, or engaging with a coach. So you're not required to actually talk with a coach. However, some people may find that useful because these coaches have specific training in, some of them are registered dietitians, some of them may have a nursing background. All of them have been certified as coaches, and they are specifically working with patients who are managing weight loss and specifically managing weight loss with GLP-1. So it's a program meant to support you, but those are the basic outlines. But please go to the podcast for more information. I believe we actually have a blog post coming out soon.
Yes, it comes out today, actually. So after AFSPA Live, you're welcome to go read that. And we answer frequently asked questions and have some additional graphics and links and stuff for from Teladoc explaining.
That journey's quite detailed if that's included. That's great.
All right. And you did kind of touch on this, but I just want to make sure we answer Midwest Girl's question on YouTube. If I'm already on a GLP-1 with my refill due mid-January and I sign up for the coaching program on January 1st, what happens if I don't get my scale in time to weigh in 4 times or at all?
Great question. And I just want to reiterate. So yes, absolutely sign up in early January. You may need to contact your doctor for a new prior authorization. You can always check with Express Scripts on that, or you will be paying for that. So I would say don't wait until you're completely out of your medication before trying to do the refill, whether that's through home delivery or at a retail location, because it may come up and say, hey, we need that information from your doctor. Gives you time to contact your doctor so they can complete that. But you do not have to get the scale and weigh in prior to that initial fill in 2026. Even if your initial fill doesn't come until February or early March, you don't have to. You can go ahead and sign up, start using the program. I encourage you to consider that. But for you, if you're looking at it like a January 15th refill, just make sure that you're enrolled in the program. And again, try to refill before you're completely out, just to make sure that you get any information you need from your doctor, get that submitted to Express Scripts.
Yep.
I also want to be clear about something because this question has come up. This program was something that AFSPA chose to do. It is a program that is offered by Express Scripts. We waited until the partnership was available with Teladoc Health because our members know Teladoc. You may have already used it for a number of things, but this was a program that AFSPA chose to implement. This isn't coming from anybody else. We chose to do it. We negotiated through it with the Office of Personnel Management to include it because we want to provide members support with this. We talk about this in the podcast about discontinuation rates, about side effects, an uptick in emergency room visits because of people not anticipating the side effects and things like that. So we want to give members the support to be successful long-term with these drugs and with their weight loss journey.
Absolutely. And then another common question we've gotten to is about people who do live overseas, but they receive their GLP-1 medication stateside. Are they able to still get like a year supply from the US?
Yeah, I don't believe this new program is going to affect the ability to get the 1-year supply. If you run into trouble, give us a call.
Gotcha.
We can work through that. But again, if you're getting the drugs in the US, you are subject to the new requirements. So if you're obtaining them at a retail pharmacy location in the US and then taking them with you overseas, you are subject to the requirements for any subsequent refills. So even if you get a 1-year supply and then you go to get, assuming this program continues to 2027, which I would anticipate, and you go to fill that, we're going to have questions about why there was the continued participation in the program.
Absolutely. And then just going to hit the GLP-1 questions out of the way before we continue. But Sean asked, do I have to pay for the new Encircle RX program? And then how much time should I expect to spend on this program a month?
Yeah, so no, there's no payment required, no cost to the member. It's like our existing weight management program or diabetes management or hypertension management. We offer these to support our members. The plan is paying for this. It's included in your membership. In terms of the time, we talked about this on the podcast as well. We're talking about stepping on the scale a minimum of 4 times per month. So let it register. It'll send the details off. That if we calculate that at 30 seconds each, I think that's a high estimate. There's 2 minutes to weigh in. When it comes to engaging with the app, again, talking about reading articles that may be less than 5 minutes, tracking your food. You can even set it up to sync with any fitness trackers you have so that you're tracking your activity on there. That's one of the options. So we're not talking about a heavy lift in terms of time. It's not a half hour a day. It's probably not even a half hour a month if you want to do the minimum.
Right. You're not having to take off time for work or anything like that. This is something that is just meant to be added to your daily routine or even weekly, monthly routine to not make your life harder, for sure.
That's right.
All right. I believe that is all the GLP-1 questions that were submitted. So we're going to hop on to another topic. Stella has asked, what does FSBP cover and not cover when it comes to dental? And then what dentist can Stella use?
Okay. So, and I, of course, left my brochure in the other room. So you can go to our website, afspa.org/FSBP. The full brochure is there.
Yep.
And the dental benefits are so extensive that they cover almost an entire page, which is to say there's not a lot of coverage. So we do cover accidental injury, and we do have benefits for maxillofacial surgery if you have impacted wisdom teeth that need to be removed or something like that. But when it comes to preventive care, we provide benefits for 2 cleanings and exams each year. For an adult, a cleaning and exam, you get reimbursed $36 each time. We have minimal benefits for other procedures. We do have a $1,000 benefit for orthodontics. That's not $1,000 per year. It's $1,000 per course of treatment every 5 years. But it's something, right? Because orthodontia is going to cost you more than that. So the benefits are minimal. Now, in terms of using them and what dentist to go to, the benefits are the same both in-network and out-of-network. Since we don't really cover dental, it's just minimal benefits. Go to any dentist you want to use those benefits. I will note that if you have a supplemental dental plan, for instance, one of the FSBP plans, we are primary for dental. So unfortunately, you have to send the claim to us, even if we're going to deny it because we don't cover a crown or a root canal or something like that, and then send it on to your FSBP plan. So it's very minimal. It's definitely not comprehensive, but you can use money that you earn in our incentive program to cover any out-of-pocket dental and vision as well as medical costs that you may encounter. And we've got some great information on our website about the wellness program. You can see the URL there. And there's a lot of ways for people who are age 18 and older covered under the plan. So enrollees, spouses, dependent children over 18 to earn up to $400 each person each year to help cover those out-of-pocket costs. So use that, can help lower your costs for prescription copays, for that deductible, and any co-insurance you might encounter.
Absolutely. All right. I'm going to jump to a Medicare question now. This is from Sarah. What would be the downside of dropping Medicare Part B and relying just on the foreign service benefit plan coverage?
Sure. So we've got, again, more information in our video library about this, but in a nutshell, if you've got Medicare A and B and foreign service benefit plan, you're essentially 100% covered for your medical and hospital costs. So no out of pocket. We waive the calendar year deductible. We waive co-insurance, and we even cover the cost share for Medicare Part B services, even if it's what is known as a non-participating provider, or one who does not accept assignment, not the opt-out providers, not talking about them, the ones who maybe charge a little bit more than the Medicare allowed amount. We cover everything that Medicare doesn't cover in that instance. It's different with the opt-out providers. Not going to get into that today. But so if you drop Medicare Part B and you just have FSBP, you're still paying the calendar year deductible we have. You're still responsible for co-insurance and so forth, which may be okay. You may be comfortable with that, may not be worried about that, feel that you've got enough protection with the out-of-pocket catastrophic maximum that the plan has. But some people like the assurance of having Medicare A, B, and FSBP, because then they're essentially 100% covered, and they know exactly what they're going to pay each year because it's just their premiums. Their out-of-pocket costs are covered. Prescription, there's other ways to manage that, but those costs can be managed as well.
Absolutely. And then if you weren't aware, if you want to learn more about Medicare and how it works with the FAEHB, Kyle has done a great presentation on that on our YouTube channel, and you can watch it here. And he breaks down all parts of Medicare. And then if you want specific parts, we have tons of podcast episodes about each part of Medicare. So you can also go there to hear more from us.
More coming. I think we're planning on Medicare March again next year. So this video is from 2025. The fundamentals have not changed. The numbers have. And we'll be getting that information out soon. And we're in the process of finalizing our specific brochure on Medicare and FSBP. So, and getting some updates into that on our website.
Yep. All right. Next question. How does the cost share work with urgent care clinics? What would I be responsible for paying? And this is from Jerry.
Yeah, good question, because we are making changes. So if you go between now and the 31st, you're going to pay a flat copay if you go in-network. So if you go to a CVS Minute clinic between now and the end of the year, you're not going to pay anything. If you go to another in-network provider, I believe it's a $10 copay. So next year, we're changing it, and it's going to match our benefits for other outpatient care, right? If you go for preventive care, it's covered at 100%. If you go for treatment or diagnosis, diagnostic purposes, I should say, it is subject to the calendar year deductible of $300 if you're going in network per person, $600 for the family. And then the plan pays 90% once that is covered. So it's really going to depend on what services you receive and if you're going in network or out of network.
Yes. All right. We got a question from Mary. Can FSBP lobby Express Scripts to accept manufacturer coupons and to change the mail pharmacy provider for 2027?
Sure. Appreciate this question. So we work in close partnership with Express Scripts. I actually had a meeting with our account team this morning, and since you submitted this question ahead of time, I asked for a little bit more information about manufacturer coupons. So here's the deal. Because the question came up a number of times, one particularly interested member during some of our webinars during open season. So I want to be clear about one thing. You cannot use manufacturer coupons for Part D plans. This includes the FSBP Express Scripts Medicare Prescription Drug Plan. That's our PDP, or with our MAPD, the Medicare Advantage plan that has a Part D. Can't use it on Medicare Part D plans. You can use manufacturer coupons under FEHB plans like Foreign Service Benefit Plan. Now, from what you wrote in your question, I assume that you're using home delivery with Express Scripts and are wanting to use a coupon there. That is typically not always possible, and I think that is the case with other home delivery pharmacies. We use the Express Scripts home delivery pharmacy because we partner with Express Scripts and Evernorth, their parent company, for pharmacy benefit management, but I would have to double check, but I think other home delivery, including places like managed by Optum and CVS Caremark and so forth, would follow a similar pattern. There are certain categories of drugs where you can use coupons through home delivery, but not many. You can use, or let me put it this way, you may be able to use coupons if you fill your prescriptions under our high option benefits at retail pharmacies. You would obviously need to take the coupon information with you when you go to fill that prescription. And if it's a maintenance medication, you'd have to go to a Smart 90 retail pharmacy, a CVS, Walgreens, a handful of independents, but typically CVS and Walgreens are going to be part of that network, and see if they can apply it. So you may be able to use it. It is not typically available at Express Scripts. We are not we are preparing to go through a review of our pharmacy benefits for 2026, so we'll see what's out there. But if we were to continue with the Express Scripts, I don't anticipate that policy for manufacturers' coupons through home delivery to change.
All right. Stella has asked, would FSBP cover hypnotherapy for menopause treatment through EVIA?
Well, and I'm so glad you included the name of the program and a link to it. I took a quick look at EVIA this morning and saw that it is hypnotherapy. I think it's a 5-week treatment course. And I will note that in section 6, I believe, of our brochure, hypnotherapy is specifically excluded from coverage. So this is not something that's covered, whether it's rendered in person or, as the case here, through a virtual program. So I feel confident in saying no. The hypnotherapy through EVIA would not be covered. Other programs like that where you would pay a flat fee for an online course of treatment, be cautious about those, even if it's not hypnotherapy, even if they're providing services that it looks like we would cover. They may be charging like a package price, and unless we get an itemized invoice, the plan may not be able to cover it. And even if we got an itemized invoice, we'd have it maybe covered as out of network and so forth. So some of those programs can be incredibly effective for people. I just want to encourage you to consider it may not be covered. We do cover a number of offer a number of programs, virtual programs, and so forth through our benefits. All of those are outlined, or at least most of them are outlined on in section H of the brochure, 5H of the brochure, and on our website. And we're adding more next year. We have a question that just came in. We mentioned incentives earlier. Maddie, bring it on.
All right. All right. Deborah has asked, where can I see systematically money in and out of the healthcare or health fund incentive account, which is the wellness incentive account, together and clearly? If not, can AFSPA please work to get the incentive fund expressed in a clear money in and out manner?
Okay, I appreciate that question. The information about the Wellness Incentive Fund is managed through the Aetna Secure site. And I don't have the specifics in front of me, but there is information in the brochure and on our website about how to access that information. In terms of the clear in and out, I know that there's clear information about where you're getting the rewards, where it's being credited, who it's being sent to, or if you're being reimbursed. May not be as clear. We are looking at some potential changes for that program in 2027 and beyond. So I will be sure and include that as part of the desired changes or features to have for members, so that it is clear to you what you've earned and where it's going. Thank you for that question.
All right. And a question that we got quite often during open season, Megan has asked, is it possible to set up an HSA, which is a health savings account, or FSA, which is a flexible spending account, with FSBP? If not possible, could this be added to the health plan in future years?
Sure. Good question. So an HSA is not possible. That you only get an HSA, a health savings account, if you're enrolled in a high deductible plan. And right now we are not exploring launching a high deductible option under the Foreign Service Benefit Plan banner. The FSA is an employment benefit. So that comes from your employer, not from your insurer. So if you're a federal employee, you had an opportunity during open season to sign up for FSA Feds. That's fsafeds.gov. That window for open enrollment is closed. You can check on their website about qualifying life events that may allow you to sign up for a flexible spending account mid-year. If you are with a private employer, again, that is up to your employer and how they offer that. Some employers offer it, some do not. And some may offer both a healthcare and a dependent care FSA and so forth. So I'll have to point you back to HR at your employer or to the FSA Feds website.
Okay. Next question from Candace. If I leave federal service due to active duty military PCS, not retirement, and I've had FSBP for 14/15 years, can I keep it for life, or what are my options?
Sure. So typically the only way that I'm aware of that you can keep it for life is if you retire and are eligible to retain your FEHB benefits into retirement. So in your case, very clear, and I appreciate that this would not be a retirement. This would be leaving for active military service. You may be able to, following your separation from federal civilian service, you may be able to enroll in temporary continuation of coverage, or TCC. But as a former employee, that's typically only for up to 18 months. And you then are responsible for paying 100%, actually about 102% of the premium. You pay the employee portion, the government's portion, and a 2% admin fee to have that. And again, that's typically time limited to 18 months. So that's probably the only option for keeping FSBP following separation. If you come back to federal civilian service, we'd be happy to have you again. But I think also once you become active duty military, your TRICARE coverage typically would be your primary payer, with us as a secondary payer while you're active duty. So just something to keep in mind there, that you'd be paying a lot for the coverage, where it's only paying a secondary in that instance. But if that becomes a reality, feel free to reach out, and we can walk through exactly what the options are.
Yes. All right. Margaret has asked, why does FSBP not take part in the Silver Sneakers benefit?
Maddie, I know you almost hesitated to put this up there because it's for my almost 13 years here, this is a very common question. So we do offer Silver Sneakers under the FSBP Aetna Medicare Advantage plan.
Yep.
And it's the only place we can offer it. Because with Medicare Advantage plans, we can add some bells and whistles like Silver Sneakers, like a Part B premium reduction, and a number of other things. We have received guidance more than a decade ago from the Office of Personnel Management that we could not offer a program like Silver Sneakers because it is not an eligible medical benefit. Gym memberships, fitness classes are not considered, which essentially is what Silver Sneakers offers, are not eligible medical benefits. And so they can't be included in part of a health plan. So they'd be considered an additional benefit, which we would have to put an estimate on, and then that would, OPM was basically saying they would have to include that as part of compensation that someone's receiving, and it would be a taxable compensation. Even for people who are not eligible for Silver Sneakers or not using it, they would face that. This is not my reasoning. This was the reasoning I received. So we were able to offer it under our Medicare Advantage plan. Look there if you're of interest. Otherwise, we are looking for ways to, in the future, to offer similar programs or at least discounts, and we'll continue to work on that.
All right. Getting to our last few questions. I know we've gone over 30 minutes, but we want to make sure we answered all of them. Ted has asked, how do I get pre-approval for surgery, and how are the hospitals paid after the deductible is factored in?
Sure. Okay. So I'm going to assume that you're in the US, and if you are going through an in-network provider, and here I'm saying both an in-network, either hospital or outpatient patient surgery, and assuming an in-network surgeon, okay? And the surgeon then is required to obtain the prior approval from the plan. That's part of their network agreement, is that they need to go through that. Check with them, make sure they do. We ran into a situation recently where that had not been done. The provider should have done it, but check with them ahead of time. But the provider's office should do that. Even if you go to an out-of-network surgeon, oftentimes they will still do that because they want to get paid. And that's the best way for them to get paid, is to make sure all the paperwork submitted, all the T's are crossed, I's are dotted, and so forth. If for some reason your provider doesn't do that, you can contact our care management team, our clinical team. There's information in the brochure. I don't have the phone number on me right now. We might be able to find that while I'm talking. And then, again, assuming they're in network, the payment goes directly to the providers once their bills are submitted. So if it's an in-network provider, they're going to bill insurance directly. We're then going to consider the claims. If it's covered, we will process it, and then we will send payment through whatever method is set up with the provider, usually direct deposit of some sort, and then issue an explanation of benefits to both you and the provider. And if the deductible is a factor for the professional services, or even if it's an outpatient surgery, then that will be clear on the explanation of benefits. It'll say deductible, eventually it will say patient's responsibility, which will include both the deductible and any co-insurance. And then the doctor and or hospital will balance bill you. They'll send you a bill based on that explanation of benefits. If you're overseas, real quick, we don't require prior approval for most services. You can send information to us ahead of time if you want that on record, but we don't require prior approval for most services. It's really only for gene and cell therapy, applied behavior analysis, and gender affirming surgical care, which will be phased out in terms of coverage in 2026. But if for some reason you feel like you need that, you will have to contact us. Your hospital would not do that. And then if we're direct billing with the hospital, we would pay them directly. Otherwise, you may need to pay them, and then we reimburse you when you're overseas.
All right. Last question before our submitted questions, I should say. David has asked, I'm trying to find David. Oh, there we go. If I am bedridden, does FSBP cover it?
So I'm going to answer this very generally because I'm not sure if we're talking about just would you have coverage? Would we cover certain services related to your condition, so forth? So here's what I will say is that we don't determine whether or not you're covered. So your coverage is based on either your employment and your eligibility for FEHB through your employment, or your eligibility for FEHB through your retirement, and if you can carry those benefits into retirement. So if you're asking, if that's the case, again, we get our directions from your payroll office about enrolling you or not. And they continue to collect the premiums through withholding from your paycheck or your annuity, and then transfer those to us actually into a trust fund held by OPM to pay claims. So that's the best I can do with that information. If there's more specifics, we'd be happy to follow up in the future.
All right.
I hope that is not the case. I hope you're okay and up and
sure.
doing well and receiving any support you need to get there.
All right. Final question we got from Deborah. Deborah said, do you have a date for annual meeting 2026?
Okay.
And
is Deborah a plant from our staff? Because that
I know.
Question, Deborah. Thank you.
We're glad that you're excited, hopefully, about annual meeting. But annual meeting for 2026 will be on March 6th. That's a Friday. And more details to come about that soon in the new year. But just know that we are planning for that and getting ready for it. And we're excited that you're excited.
We'll have more details, I think, at our January broadcast, certainly.
Yes.
Invitations going out around that time. And we'll be working. We're actually already working on a keynote speaker and so forth. So we're looking forward to having that. So Deborah, hopefully you'll turn in next month. We'll have more details.
Yes. And speaking of next month, our next AFSPA Live will be on January 29th, the last Thursday of the month. We're back to our usual schedule. And then in the meantime, expect some podcast episodes from us come January. We don't have any upcoming events because it's the end of the new year. This is our last event for AFSPA and FSBP, I would say. So, keep on the lookout for us on our socials channels, our webpage. If you want to learn more about the GLP-1 blog, that will be out today, right after we end this live. And if you are missing us for some reason, you can go back and look at all of our past AFSPA Lives, all of our past AFSPA Talks episodes. And we're just very thankful for all of our members and new members, especially. So any last words, Kyle?
Nope, I was just going to take us with you on the road.
Yeah.
If you're celebrating something this time of year, happy everything, happy whatever to you, happy holidays. And Maddie, happy holidays to you.
I know, happy holidays.
Fantastic team making the magic happen in the background.
Yep.
And thank you all for joining us today, and we'll see you again next year.
Absolutely. Happy holidays, everyone.
Thanks for watching our broadcast. Join us again the last Thursday of every month at 11 a.m. Eastern. Also, don't forget to look for AFSPA Cares on all of our social media channels, YouTube,